And you hear the bad guys have taken over AI. 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 Hey, you hear the bad guys have taken over AI.
It's been bad, my friend. It's been bad.
I know what you're thinking. I look like a crazy out there in Washington Square Park, but here is the backstory.
This is a stunner in some respects, Steve.
Yeah, Sam Altman is out as CEO of OpenAI.
On November 17th, OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT and DALL-E, fired its CEO Sam Altman, seemingly out of nowhere. And 5 days later, after a ton of drama, multiple interim CEOs in just a matter of a few days, almost every single employee at the company threatening to quit if Sam wasn't reinstated, and board members resigning left and right, on November 21st, Sam Altman was back at the helm as CEO of OpenAI. Now that the storm has quote-unquote passed, it may seem to most like that was a blip, a momentary glitch, and everything is back the way it was. But oh no, everything has changed. You see, the mainstream news media have generally painted Sam Altman to be this Steve Jobs-like figure, a popular and righteous leader who was screwed over and maybe double-crossed by people who were threatened by his brilliance. But if we look into who is now in charge of OpenAI and the company's newly appointed 3-person board, the exact opposite might actually be true. And it's not at all good news for the future of humanity. First, let's talk about this guy, Adam D'Angelo, the only person who is left from the old board. D'Angelo is perhaps best known for being the chief technology officer of Facebook from 2006 to 2008, and the founder and CEO of Quora, the social question and answer website. He actually voted to oust Altman, but for some reason later changed his mind. Sam Altman even tweeted on November 23rd, a few days after the whole failed coup situation, "Just spent a really nice few hours with Adam D'Angelo. Happy Thanksgiving from our families to yours." Looks like they made up. And from what I can tell, D'Angelo, he is your run-of-the-mill Silicon Valley tech engineer turned executive. Probably not inherently evil, a true believer in technology for the betterment of society, but the execution always leaves much to be desired. But these two new members of the board, oof, you better buckle up. We have Bret Taylor, another Silicon Valley programmer turned entrepreneur turned executive, and now OpenAI's new chairman. He's pretty much spent time at every Silicon Valley unicorn, including Google, Facebook, Salesforce, but what we're going to focus on today is his time at Twitter, where he served as the chairman of the board until late last year when Elon Musk bought the company. To me, the most important thing we have to remember is that during this time period, Twitter essentially morphed into what can be described as kind of a front for government and corporate-sponsored censorship and disinformation. This is according to the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. Quote, under former Twitter employees' watch, Twitter devolved into a private company the FBI and the federal government infiltrated to deliberately limit free speech, particularly conservative speech, and news contrary to the mainstream narrative.
It appears to me that you failed at your jobs. You were entrusted with the highest level of power at Twitter, but when you were faced with the New York Post story, instead of allowing people to judge the information for themselves, you rushed to find a reason why the American people shouldn't see it.
Not only that, but the committee also found that Twitter censored doctors from Stanford and Harvard for sharing truthful information about, ironically, the thing that I'm not going to say out loud for fear of censorship.
Did the U.S. government ever contact you or anyone at Twitter to censor or moderate certain tweets? Yes or no?
We receive legal demands to remove content from the platform from the U.S. government and governments all around the world. Those are published on a third-party website, and anyone can read
Thank
them.
God for Matt Taibbi. Thank God for Elon Musk for allowing to show us in the world that Twitter was basically a subsidiary of the FBI, censoring real medical voices with real expertise that put real Americans' lives in danger because they didn't have that information.
Additionally, it was reported by The Intercept that Big Pharma pressured Twitter to censor activists, those who might pose a threat to their corporate agenda. I know these examples are extremely political, divisive, and some of you might even view Twitter's actions as positive in these situations, but to me, I don't think you can argue with the fact that these decisions that Twitter made were without public transparency and deeply lacking accountability. Which brings us to perhaps the most evil villain of all, the infamous Larry Summers. He's going to make Bret Taylor's past transgressions look like child's play. Summers, he's held some of the most powerful positions in the world, from being the chief economist of the World Bank to serving as the Treasury Secretary in the Clinton administration, and he was also once the president of Harvard, coincidentally during the time that Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg was a student there. Here's him being played by Douglas Urbanski in the 2010 film The Social Network. Now let's talk about why he's so evil. During his time at the World Bank, he wrote a private memo suggesting that the World Bank should be encouraging more migration of dirty industries to the LDCs, which stands for least developed countries. So in other words, pollution, totally okay, but let's just do it somewhere in Africa, far away, just because we can. Psychopathic stuff. When he was Treasury Secretary, he lobbied for the repeal of Glass-Steagall, which separated commercial and investment banking. This is very important for keeping the money of consumers safe. And he lobbied against regulating derivatives, which essentially legalized financial gambling. These laws and policies he championed and enacted led directly to the financial crisis and a global recession. A separate, somewhat problematic character trait is that he is also very close friends to this now deceased gentleman that you see on the screen. Won't say his name either. So characterizing him as someone who is a bit loose with the morals and cares more about making money for himself and his friends at the risk of endangering the rest of humanity would probably be an understatement. In fact, it's laughable how any of these three guys can possibly be the ones to make sure OpenAI will build an artificial general intelligence that is safe and benefits all of humanity. Now, according to OpenAI, this is just the interim board, but they are critical because it is these three people who will have the final say as to who else gets to join the board of directors at OpenAI at a crucial inflection point in AI development.
The day will come when the digital brains that live inside our computers will become as good and even better than our own biological brains. We call such an AI an AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Yeah, word on the street is OpenAI is on the precipice of achieving what they call AGI, artificial general intelligence. Lots of rumors swirling around as to what this technology is capable of, whether or not it's dangerous, and how close they are to actually achieving it. Maybe it means the end of humanity as we know it, or maybe it will solve all of humanity's problems. We don't know, but I can venture to guess that a lot of it probably depends on who is controlling this technology. So that is why I think we should be all very aware that the failed coup at OpenAI may not be what the mainstream media is portraying it as, and we should also all be very aware of the type of people who have now taken charge of AI during this potentially dangerous inflection point in AI development. That is it for me this week. I'm curious to see how all of this unfolds. Let me know what your thoughts are. Artificial general intelligence, the new board, are you concerned, not concerned? Also, if you found my video to be helpful, please take a second to like this video, share it with your friends and family, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. As always, I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.